There are two key parts of the game tomorrow that we have to see in order for Clemson to beat Georgia: a defensive battle and to win the turnover margin.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. I'm your host, John Bivens. We are a credentialed media member for the Clemson Tigers with football, baseball, basketball. We are bringing you everything you need to know regarding the Clemson sports here on Locked On Clemson. Thanks so much for making it your first listen every single day. We're bringing you all sports, all passion, all of the time. Here on Locked On Clemson, you're getting those three things, and you're getting everything you need to know regarding the Tigers and the Clemson Tiger Athletics. Today is Friday, August 30th, the day before game day. We've got a great episode for you, as we're going to be talking about how can we win, what do we need to see in order to win, talk about who is the better linebacker room as we finish up our positional breakdown, and then we're going to wrap up that series with what does the battle of the head coaches look like, who has the advantage there. It's going to be a great episode. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast with zero sugar and a convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up to getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com, use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off of your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Before we dive into the episode, we want to let you know a really cool thing. We are starting a competition where you can head over to ESPN College Pick'ems. It is every week you pick a college team to win certain matchups that they've picked out. Kind of what Game Day does when they make their picks for the games. We have started a Locked On Clemson group that you can enter right now for free. All you have to do is go over to ESPN College Game Day Pick'em, look up the group Locked On Clemson, or click the link in the episode notes and make your picks. We're going to give a prize at the end of the season to the highest three people that has the highest scores. We're going to give a prize to them completely for free. We'll reach out to you on how to get that prize to you, but make sure you enter that. You can enter it now. You can go ahead and make your picks now. You just make a pick. Literally, it takes 5 minutes. You go through once a week, make your picks for the weekend, and then submit them, and then it'll be entered into the group, and you can keep a running score. We're competing. We've already got a couple other people in that group, so make sure you join that group. Again, go to ESPN College Pick'em, search Locked On Clemson, or just hit the link out down in the episode notes description, and you can join that group that way. But we're excited about that. When it comes to Clemson, though, in order for Clemson to win, we have to see two things. We have to win the turnover battle, and we've got to force this to be a defensive battle. This cannot be an offensive shootout. Let's break into those two. Last year, one of the biggest things that killed Clemson in our losses was the turnovers. We didn't force enough, and when we did force them, we were giving the ball over even more. You don't have to look far back. Look at the Duke game, right? Look at game 1 of last year. We turned the ball over how many times in the red zone? When you turn the ball over, you prevent your chances to score. That's never going to win. We've got to win that turnover margin. Georgia has a great team. We cannot help them out at all. If we want to win this game, we can't help them. We have to make them help us. We have to cause the turnovers on defense, and then our offense has to utilize every single possession. The second thing that has to happen is this has to be a defensive battle. We'll get into this in a second, but when it comes to our defense compared to their defense, overall, I don't think we have a better defense, but I think it's very comparable. On offense, I would say Georgia has a slightly better offense than we do. But when you compare the people that I'll be facing off, their offense compared to our defense, I feel like our defense has a little bit of the advantage in that matchup. On our opposite side, when our offense matches up with their defense has a significant advantage. Because of that, this cannot turn into a blowout. This game cannot turn into an offensive shootout. Obviously can't turn into a blowout, but this cannot be who's going to score the most points. This cannot be one of those games. If it is, we're going to lose that game 99 times out of 100. We don't have the offensive firepower unless the team just magically changed drastically over the offseason and since the spring game. We don't have the offensive firepower to try to stick with Georgia in an offensive shootout. If it turns into that, we're in deep trouble. Our best chance to win, Our best strategy in order for us to win this game, our best chance in order to win this game is it's got to be a defensive game. Our defense has got to prevent from scores. We've got to make sure that their Georgia's offense, we slow them down. We don't allow them to put up the points that they're used to putting up. If this game is 30s in the 30s or in the even the high 20s or 30s or more, it doesn't look good for the Tigers. Our best, I mean, look at last time we played Georgia. We lost 10-3, didn't allow offensive touchdown the entire game. Granted, that was 2021. Only a couple players on both teams were still on the team at that time because it was so long ago. But still, and if we want to win, defense has got to show out. Even in that game, our defense didn't allow a touchdown, and we still lost because our offense couldn't keep up with our defense. I think our offense is going to score. I don't think we're going to go scoreless like that. It's going to be a little different, but we're still not going to be able to put up 35 points. If we do, awesome. If we end up losing this game 42-35, I'm almost more encouraged than if we win this game 10-3. Obviously, a win is more encouraging, but I hope you see what I mean. If we're able to come out and our offense proves me completely wrong and scores so many points, just lines up the points, even if we lose, I'm extremely pumped about this season for seeing an offense that can score on one of the best defenses in the nation. Then I'm a little and then obviously their offense is good, so I'm not too worried about our defense for giving up points to one of the best offenses in the nation. That's the thing. Georgia's the kind of team that offense and defense, they're top 5, top 10 on both sides of the ball. When you're playing an opponent like that, don't get in a shootout with them, but also don't help them out with turnovers. If we want to win this game, it's got to come down to a defensive battle. I would love to see us come out and at the end of the first quarter be 3-3 or 7-3 or 7-7. Into the first half, still being a 14-14 game. Only 2 scores, 14-10, something like that. That kind of score, very encouraging. Very winnable because Dabo is good at the fourth quarter drives. Dabo is good at making the second half adjustments, at making some changes into the half. If we're within one possession in the first half, I think our chances of winning skyrocket. If we're down by 2 possessions or if it's 21-7, 21-14, if Clemson's or Georgia's already scored 3 times, 3 touchdowns in the first half, we're in trouble moving on to that second half because then it's like, okay, their offense is already in a rhythm into the second half where emotions are going to get heightened. So I think we've got to keep the scoring to a minimum. We've got to keep it lower. We've got to not allow them to run away with all kinds of scores, with all kinds of points. This has got to be a defensive battle. I know a lot of times that's one of those boring games to watch, but can you imagine going into the fourth quarter and Georgia's down 10-7? Or Georgia's down 16-13, or Clemson's down 16-13. If it's a close game like that, if it's a game with defenses are showing out, defenses are showing up, doing what they need to do, making the plays they need to play, if that's happening, Clemson's chances skyrocket. We cannot allow Georgia the offense to do what they want. That cannot be the case. In other games, we won't say this. I know a lot of this sounds like, well, duh, you can't let them score. No, in other games, when we play later on, we can allow them to score because I got faith our offense can score just as much, right, or more. This game is not like that. Georgia has the advantage on the offensive side. I don't think it's drastic, but I do think they do have the advantage on the offensive side. And because of that, our defense has to allow our offense to have a chance. They've got to find a way to slow down Beck, slow down ETN, slow down these receivers, break through that tough offensive line, cause some pressure, cause a couple sacks, even force a turnover too. I would love to see 2-3 turnovers in the first half. I'd love to see Carson Beck walk into the first half with maybe a touchdown and 2 picks. That'd be amazing. That would be dream situation. In order for Clemson to win, we've got to win the turnover margin, and we've got to force this to be a defensive battle. If we can do that, we can win this game. When we look at the defensive side specifically, we're in this series of going through positional breakdowns. When we look specifically at our last position group, the linebacker group, who has the advantage? Warmer, sunnier days are calling, so fuel up with them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and even Keto. Factor's fresh Nova frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you always have a new flavor to explore. Crush your wellness goals this July with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. And you can treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon. Head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box. Plus, you get 20% off your next month. That code is lockedoncollege50 at factormeals.com. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're doing this. You're burning rubber. You're not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices that you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. That is ebaymotors.com. College football is back, and it is not too late to catch up before the season kicks off tomorrow. SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, you can get it all from Locked On stable of college experts by subscribing to the Locked On College Football podcast. Who has a chance to make the playoffs? What team's going to cause chaos in their new conference? Everything you need to know all in one place. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Locked On College Football podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. When it comes to the linebacker group, when it comes to the linebacker position group, Georgia has the slight advantage over Clemson, and it's due to two things. One, it's due to the proven success of their players. Two, it's due to the depth. We've gone through this series and we've talked through all the offensive groups, wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, offensive line, tight end, but also secondary, defensive line, and now the linebackers. And as we go through these groups, we've been focusing not on potential. We haven't been looking on expected success. We've been looking on what they've proven to this point, what they've done as of right now. Obviously, with freshmen, you have to play a part of what they can do. But for the most part, we're looking at what they've done, who they are, what their potential is as of right now, not what we think they can be. And with those parameters in mind, with that station, with that mindset focused in, when you look at these two linebacker groups, you see two of the best in the nation. I don't care who you're a fan of. You cannot disagree that both Georgia and Clemson have some of the best linebackers in the nation. But Georgia has the slight advantage at that position based on the depth that they have and based on the proven success from the players that they have. When you look at Georgia's linebacker room, it is full of studs. I mean, it is full of some great players. They have C.J. Allen. They have Samuel Mondon Jr. They have Dylan Everett. But those are great players in their own. But they also have some studs on the bench. Dylan Everett is a cornerback, but they also have Jalen Walker. They have Raylan Wilson. They have Damon Wilson. They have Chad Chambliss. They've got some great players. They've got solid studs on the field. And honestly, if you just took their backup linebackers and put them starting, they'd be better than a lot of teams in the nation at the linebacker position just with their backups. That depth is huge. Having that freedom to sub in and out players, to keep them rested, to have a rotating door, which we talked about Clemson loves to do, having that creates a whole new threat, a whole new dynamic where they can do so many amazing things when it comes down to the linebacker group. They have people that can rush. They have people that can get through the line and pressure the quarterback. They have people that can great at man coverage. They have people that are great in zone coverage. They have utility guys that can do all of it. Their linebacker room is full of depth. And when you look at what they've done, they have a lot of success. I mean, at their jack position, they've got a senior. At middle linebacker, a sophomore, but did really well as a freshman. They've got Samuel Mondon Jr., a senior at the linebacker. They've got great players there. But then they also have on the outside or in the bench, they've got Jalen Walker as a junior, Raylan Wilson, who's a sophomore, Damon Wilson II, who's a sophomore. They've got experienced players. They're not starting a freshman, or a freshman's not even in their top two. They're starting or their backups. They have a freshman as their third string middle linebacker. But with all that being said, they've got players that have proved they can be successful. They have players that prove they can be good, and they have the experience and depth in order to do that. That's why Georgia has the experience. That's why Georgia has the advantage. When you get Clemson, look, Clemson aren't a bunch of bums. Clemson's not a bunch of scrubs back there. They've got some good players. I think when you look at individual players, Clemson has the best linebacker out of either of these two teams with Barrett Carter. I would say Clemson has the second best linebacker with only possibly one other player ahead of Barrett Carter, but he's going to be an outstanding player. And once again, we're not judging on on the potential of this year. He's been one of the best for years now. He's coming in as a senior. He surprised a lot of people coming back to Clemson this year. I think he could have been drafted in early rounds, but he decided to come back, and I think he's going to have the year that's going to lead him to a first-round draft pick next year. He's going to be the captain of this defense. He's going to be the captain of this defensive team for Clemson. He's solid. I think he is better than any individual player on the defense on either side of the ball, or on either team on defensive side. But as our group as a whole, we don't have the depth or the proven success. I think Wade Woodaz, he's a junior. He's proven. I think if we had another player like Wade Woodaz along with Barrett Carter, so two players, Wade Woodaz's potential and Barrett Carter starting, I think Clemson might get the nod. But unfortunately, our other starting linebacker, who's Jamal Anderson, he's a sophomore. He played some last year. He doesn't have the proven success. He doesn't have the proven ability that he can be a star-level linebacker forcing plays. I think he's great. I think he's going to be good. But based on where he's at right now and based on what we've seen, we don't have the proven success that Georgia's linebackers has. And when you look at the depth, I think we have some good ones on the bench. Kobe McLeod had a good year last year as a redshirt freshman, and I think he's going to have a great year this year. D. Creighton, we didn't see a lot last year. He's a redshirt freshman. Cade Denhoff, he's a redshirt junior, he's defensive line. But Drew Woodaz, who's a true freshman, he is Wade Woodaz's little brother. Drew, he's going to have a good year, I think, as a freshman, but we don't know. We haven't seen him. Based on that, Georgia has the depth. Georgia has the proven success. While Clemson might have, I think Clemson can almost match them in talent, not all the way, but almost match them in talent based on those two perimeters of depth and proven success. Up to this point, Georgia has the slight advantage when it comes down to the linebacker position. We've went through every single position group on the offensive and defensive side. There's one other group that we haven't talked about yet, and that I'm not talking special teams because Georgia has the advantage there. Let's just be real. What I'm talking about is the head coach. When you look at these two head coaches, which are some of the most well-known, best coaches in the league, what team truly has the advantage at the head coach position? Grab a 5-hour energy drink in order to fix tired fast. Whether you have a long list of to-do work or a long list of DIY projects to tackle at home, take a 5-hour energy shot so you can check everything off your list. If you're like me, you always have a large list of projects for the home. We are expecting a child in a couple of weeks now, and there is so much stuff I have to do to get done. And so many times I feel like I don't have the energy to complete it. 5-hour energy fixes that. When you get your supplies for the project, don't forget the most essential supply, which is a 5-hour energy shot drink. 5-hour Energy is the brand hardworking people like you have trusted for over 20 years to get them alert, energized, and feeling the way that they need to get through a busy, hectic day. You always know where to find a 5-hour energy shot. Right at the cash register at nearly every convenience, drug, or grocery store nationwide. Stock up on your money-saving multi-packs to make sure you never run out of delicious, energizing 5-hour energy shots. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5, energy.com, you get some 5-hour energy product today. You can even use our promo code that we have, locked on CFB, to receive 20% off your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th, so act fast, and it can only be used on one order and not used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, but the code locked on CFB, all caps, will get you 20% off your first order. Go to 5hourenergy.com today in order to fix tired fast. When it comes to head coaches, when it comes to Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart, I don't think you can say one team has the for sure upper hand. I think this teams are pretty much split and tied when it comes down to which teams has the upper hand. And here's why. When you look at active coaches who have national championships, you have 3 of them. You have Dabo Swinney, you have Kirby Smart, and you have Matt Brown from Carolina. Matt Brown won and escaped a game against Minnesota last night as they were playing there, and Minnesota missed a field goal to win it. That hurt. I'm pulling for the ACC, but Minnesota should have won that game. Matt Brown escaped from a win. But anyway, those are the only 3 active coaches that have won a national championship. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh won with Michigan, but he's now in the NFL. So there isn't another active coach with a Division I national championship. With that in mind, only 2 of them have won multiple, Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart. Those are the only 2 that have won multiple. So when it comes down to which of these coaches are the better ones, we're comparing the best of the best. When we're trying to figure out who is the better coach, what team has the advantage, we're literally comparing the top 2 coaches in the league. People can argue all day long who's better, Kirby Smart or Dabo Swinney. And honestly, you're comparing 2 different things. Everyone's heard the phrase compared apple to oranges, and you can't do that. It's a dumb phrase, right? It's 2 fruits. You can 100% compare those, 100%. A better phrase would be comparing apples to broccoli. And I think that's closer to what Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart is, because they are such different styles. They are 2 very different styles of head coaches. Dabo Swinney is one that is all about loyalty. He's all about building the Clemson culture, building the environment, not only growing people on the field, but growing them in life. He wants the best out of his players, both on the field, but in the real world. Georgia with Kirby Smart is they want to put the most talented team on the field. They want to have the most talented team possible. So because of that, Dabo doesn't do the transfer portal. And a lot of people are hating on him for that. I think this year we'll be able to see if that's truly going to make a difference. We'll be able to see if he can get back to the ACC championship game. If he can get in the playoffs, have success, then it doesn't matter what people say. He doesn't need the transfer portal. If he has another negative season, if he goes and loses 4 games this year, doesn't make the playoffs, then there's the argument of, is the transfer portal, do we need it more? But as of right now, you can't say that Dabo's less good than Kirby Smart, less talented, less of a good coach than Kirby Smart to the transfer portal, because we don't know if Dabo's theory is going to work. We don't know if Dabo's style is going to work. His style is loyalty. His style is recruit the best possible, get great recruits that fit the Clemson culture, grow that loyalty, grow these players to be the players that play really well, and then thrive and rock with them. Kirby Smart, though, isn't that. He has good recruits. He has some great recruiting classes some years, but he also goes to the transfer portal. A lot of their offense is transfers this year. I mean, a lot of their offense. Obviously, their quarterback's not. He's been there all of his career, but some of their wide receivers are. Their starting running back, who should not be starting, fun fact. There's no way you should have a DUI and then still get to play, but that's a side note. I think it's ridiculous. But their starting running back is being able to play, and he's playing, and he's a transfer this year. They have a lot of transfers. So Kirby's idea is more a balance between recruit and transfer. Dabo is solely recruits. They are 2 very, very different styles when it comes to these 2 coaches. And because of that, you can't put one above the other. You can have your own personal opinion. Some people go with Kirby based on recent success and transfer pool. Some people go with Dabo due to his level of recruiting. Even when you look down to winning records and what they've done as their career as head coaches, they're almost identical. Kirby Smart has been there since 2016. So from 2016 to 2023, he's been there 8 years. In that time, he's won 110 games, 94 wins, 16 losses, 85% win rate. Really good. Really good win rate. He's been there 8 years and hasn't lost 20 games yet. In his bowl history, he's 9-2. And one of those losses came in the national championship. He's made it to 3 national championships. In those 3, he's 2-1. Really good line. One of the best. When you compare Dabo Swinney, he's been there a little bit longer. He's been there since 2008. So that is a much more longer time. He's been there multiple years. I mean, he's looking at starting his 16th, 17th year now. In those years, he's starting his 17th year. In that, he's played 213 games. He has 170 wins, 43 losses for a 79% win rate. So Kirby Smart in a less long of a time has a 6% win rate better than Dabo Swinney. You can't compare that. You can't use that to argue a point. When you look at bowl record, that's where Kirby Smart has a little bit of an advantage. Kirby Smart is 9-2 in bowl games. Dabo Swinney is 12-8. Dabo's made to the national championship 4 times, so another time more than Kirby Smart. And in that time, he's 2-2, so he has 1 extra loss. But he's made it to their playoffs 4 different times. In all 4 of those, it was 2 times in a row, 1 year break, 2 times in a row. And here's why I think these two are very similar. From 2015 to 2020, Dabo Swinney, the lowest that he finished in AP highest ranked, AP post ranked, or AP pre-rank is 2015. He started as the 12th seed, got all the way to ranked 1, finished ranked 2. 2016 started at 2, got up to 1, finished at 1. 2017 started at 5, got up to 1, finished at 4. 2018 started at 2, got up to 1, finished at 1. 2019 started as 1, got up to 1, finished as 2. And 2020 started at 1, got up to 1 and stayed at 1, and then finished at 3. When you look at those, that was a 6-year span where the highest he got was 5, and the highest that he finished was 4. Or the lowest that he started was 5. The lowest that he finished was 4. When he got up to 1 every single year from 2015 to 2020. 6 years of dominance. And in those 6 years, we got to 4 championships, lost 2 of them, won 2 of them. That's talent. When you look at Kirby Smart, he's experienced a similar part of this. Early on in his career, from like 2016 to 2020, he started 2016, he started 18, got up to 9, didn't finish ranked. 17 started 15, got up to 2, finished 2. And then 18 through 20, he stayed in that 3rd through 7th ranking. 2021 switched it, though. When Clemson fell out after 2020, dropped off a little bit, that's when Georgia picked up. Since then, they started 5, got up to 1, finished 1. 2022 started 3, got to 1, finished 1. 2023 started 1, got to 1, finished 4. That's very similar to those 6 years that Dabo had. Only difference is now this year, Kirby started as 1, where Clemson started down at 14. Here's the difference between the two schools. The two difference is this. Dabo Swinney already had his 6 years, and now he's working back to another time of dominance, which I think could happen. Kirby Smart is in the middle of that 6 years right now. If it lasts 6 years, if it goes that long, or if it goes longer. These two coaches are very identical. When you look at recent success, yes, Kirby has the advantage there with recent success. But overall, as a head coach, Dabo has the experience. Dabo has the history, the longevity of it, and he knows what it's like to have a long, long time of dominance. And he's only a couple years out of that, and he could easily return back to that this year. If we beat Georgia, that puts us in that conversation. So with all that being said, when it comes down to these two coaches, when it comes down to these two teams, I don't think you can put either one above the other. As long as you have these two coaches, 1 and 2, I would put Dabo and then Kirby. But if you put Kirby then Dabo, you're not going to get an argument out of me. The argument comes is when you don't have one of these coaches at 1 and 2 when it comes to the best coaches in the nation. But with all that being said, that will wrap up this edition of the Locked On Clemson podcast. Thanks so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. Now go check out Locked On Clemson or go check out one of the other mini shows from Locked On College Podcast, such as Locked On College Football Podcast. From NIL deals to never-ending conference realignment, Spencer McCaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. You can find the link to Locked On College Football in the description below, so you don't need to search. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tomorrow, we will have a post-game show. So right after the game finishes, we're going to record a show and put it out for you, just recapping our thoughts on it. And then next week, we'll dive into more specifics all about this Clemson football team, this game tomorrow, and next week's matchup against App State. But make sure you join our Locked On Clemson Insider program. That gets you access to one-on-one conversations, bonus video episodes, and so much more. We can chat with each other in the middle of the game at all points. So make sure you jump into that. To join that, text Clemson to 864-252-1907. Also, make sure you join our ESPN challenge of joining the ESPN groups. We're going to have that season-long choosing the games each week with ESPN College Game Day. Join the group Locked On Clemson. You can search Locked On Clemson to join or click the link down below. Hey, let us know your thoughts on today. We'd love to hear feedback. Drop a comment. Let us know on Twitter. Shoot us a message with our Insider program. We'd love to hear feedback on all that. If you haven't, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Clemson. That way your first listen every single day can be right here. Until then, we can't wait to see you on tomorrow's episode for that post-game show. But until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring. And as always, go Tigers!